Hey, welcome. Today we're jumping into a huge idea, how to make that leap from just being an employee to actually becoming a wealth builder. And listen, this isn't just about trying to make more money. We're talking about a total upgrade to the way you think about your finances.
So let's kick things off with this quote from Robert Kiyosaki, which, let's be honest, kind of throws a grenade at everything we've been taught. It basically says the playbook our parents used is dead. It's obsolete. So if that's the old way, what's the new blueprint for actually building real wealth today?
Well, before you can even think about building a skyscraper of wealth, you have to pour a rock-solid foundation. This first part is absolutely non-negotiable. It's all about creating stability, not just in your bank account, but right here, in your own internal economy.
And check out this number because it shows just how big the problem is. 40%. That means nearly 4 out of every 10 adults can't even cover a tiny $400 emergency without having to borrow money. That's the financial quicksand we have to get out of first before we can even start to build.
Okay, so how do we get from that fragile place to a position of real strength? Look, it's not about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about taking smart, deliberate steps to build a defensive wall around your financial life.
And here they are, the 3 foundational pillars. First, you have got to crush high-interest debt. I mean, with credit cards charging 20, 30, even 40%, trying to invest while you're carrying that is like, and I love this quote, filling a hot water bottle with a hole in it. It's just pointless. Second, build that emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is your shock absorber for when life gets crazy. And third, you need a stable income. You can't make the leap to passive income if you don't have an active one first.
All right. With our fortress built, now it's time for the really hard work, a complete rewire of our thinking. This section is all about breaking free from the programming, from that traditional employee mindset.
And this just lays out the difference so clearly. On one side, you have the employee mindset. It's all about seeking security, that steady paycheck, and being terrified of failure. But the wealth builder, they're playing a totally different game. They want control over assets that generate cash flow, and they actually use failure to get smarter. It's a total flip from being a slave to money to becoming its master.
And here's the thing, right? That paycheck itself can be the mental trap. It trains you week after week to trade your most valuable resource, your time, for money. To break free, you have to start building systems where your money is the one working for you, 24/7, not the other way around.
So let's get into the fun stuff, our first asset. This is where we start building a machine that literally prints money for us while we sleep. Let's talk about the dividend snowball. Now, a super common trap for new investors is chasing those big, juicy dividend yields. You see a stock paying out 7% and you think, yes, I've struck gold, but is it really a golden ticket or is it a trap?
And this slide just shows you the danger perfectly. On the left, you've got the value trap. Let's use Verizon as an example. It lures you in with that really high starting yield, but when you look under the hood, the company's fundamentals are weak and the dividend isn't growing. But on the right, you have the growth engine, like Texas Roadhouse. A much smaller starting yield, sure, but it's powered by a great business, and that dividend is growing at over 16% a year. The choice here is a real test of your discipline.
And the results over 10 years? Wow, it's not even a contest. The high-yield trap, Verizon, gave investors pretty much zero return over a whole decade. Meanwhile, the dividend growth engine, Texas Roadhouse, delivered a massive 347% return. The investors who were patient and focused on growth, they won, big time.
So you see, the real magic isn't in how big the dividend is today. The secret sauce is in the growth of that dividend. That's what creates the compounding snowball effect, where your income just gets bigger and bigger every year, building you a monster portfolio over time.
Okay, so our fortress is built, our dividend snowball is rolling downhill. Now we're getting into the advanced playbook. This is how the wealthy use 2 things, debt and taxes, in a way that's completely different from how the rest of us are taught to think about them.
And here's another one of those radical ideas. We're all taught that debt is the enemy. Get out of debt, cut up your credit cards, right? But what if debt could actually be a powerful tool? What if, instead of running from it, you learned how to make it work for you?
This slide is just mind-blowing. It shows that there are literally 2 different sets of financial rules people play by. Take a high-income employee, like a doctor. They earn $1 million, and after taxes, they might only take home $250 grand. But an investor? They can use debt to buy $1 million piece of real estate, and because of things in the tax code like depreciation, they can legally pay 0 in taxes and keep the whole million. It shows you the system rewards owners, not just earners. And here's the wild part. The system is designed to work this way. It's set up to punish savers and reward debtors. Think about it. When the government prints more money, the cash sitting in your savings account becomes worth less. But if you use debt to buy a real asset, like a building, you get to pay back that loan with cheaper, inflated dollars, while your asset goes up in value. Debtors win.
All right, let's bring all of this home. We've got the foundation, we've got the assets, but none of it works without the most important piece, the operating system that runs the whole show, your internal economy. So what do we mean by internal economy? Well, it's the one thing you have 100% control over. It's your mindset, your skills, your ability to stay cool when the markets are freaking out. A person with a strong internal economy is going to build wealth no matter what the news is saying, because their focus is inward, not outward.
So how do you make that internal economy strong, even bulletproof? Well, here's the secret. It's not just about picking the right stocks or the right properties. The real key is building an automated system that works without you, one that takes your own emotions, your fear and your greed, right out of the equation. And the best part is, this system is incredibly simple. Seriously, first you just figure out how much money you can invest every month. Then you set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account for the day right after you get paid. And then you do the hardest part. Nothing. You just let the system run, you stay calm, and let time and compounding do all the heavy lifting for you.
So let's do a quick recap of this whole journey. First, you build your fortress. Get rid of bad debt, get that emergency fund in place. Second, you escape that time for money paycheck mindset. Third, you focus on dividend growth, not just those flashy high yields. Fourth, you learn to use the rules of debt and taxes to your advantage. And finally, you put it all on autopilot by automating your internal economy.
And that really just leaves us with this one final thought. You can't control inflation. You can't control what the stock market does tomorrow. The external economy is always going to be chaotic. The only question that really matters is, what are you building on the inside?